Chris Cowlin. Fan cams. Club news. Transfer news. Match previews. Legend interviews. Spurs women. Press conferences. Covering everything Tottenham and England.
Welcome back to this channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat Podcast. I'm not sure what those noises were, by the way. I'm delighted to welcome everyone to this, another edition of the podcast. Those sounds are completely thrown me now. I don't know what, James, Craig, was that you?
I think it was James. I think it was James. Moving these flowers about. Might be nice.
Well, anyway, we are here to talk about everything Tottenham Hotspur as per usual. We are live on YouTube, we're live on X, and we're also live on Facebook. So please do get involved. Let us know how you're feeling as a Tottenham Hotspur fan right now. And the transfer window. As per usual, I've got three very special guests to talk everything Tottenham Hotspur tonight. We've got channel regular Craig Dearman back with us. Craig, how are you?
They've really thrown you the flowers, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's yes. I'm all good. Yeah, a couple of things have happened since we spoke last. So and a couple of rumours out there, isn't there? So there's always plenty to talk about with Spurs, isn't there?
We've also got stadium singer James Black with us, channel regular James, the legend. How are you?
Really good, mate. Yeah, really good. It's 12 o'clock here. It's midday. I'm in Costa Rica, in the clouds of Costa Rica. Really good. Can't wait for the season, man. The nearer it gets, the more excited I get.
James, you're travelling all over the world right now. Every single time we get you on the podcast, you are in a different country. How's it all going?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, it's I've been the same as you guys. I'm always finding somewhere that's got like Wi-Fi, trying to get updated on Spurs everywhere I go. That's the only bit. But I love it. Yeah, I love travelling in between the seasons. But even going from the first week I go away, I miss it. I'm so addicted to Tottenham. It's a massive hole when it's not there. So, and the Euros does not fill it for me, unfortunately. So I love it. I love travelling, but I'm missing Tottenham. Missing White Hart Lane.
Yeah, we all miss it. Not long to go now. We've also got Italian journalist and channel regular Simone De Lumo back with us. Simone, how are you?
I'm fine, Chris. Delighted to be back as always. Nice to be alongside you guys also for tonight.
The last time you were on, Simone, you said that we had a 10% chance of signing Calafiori. And I hate to say it, but you were right. It looks like Arsenal are now signing him. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, maybe they needed a new left back because, as you know very well, Arteta is not a fan of Zinchenko anymore. They needed something different to try to arrange a push for the Premier League title once again. They try, and they seems to have got their deal done. 55 million euros for Bologna. I think that is someone of the next generation. So. Fantastic deal for them. They've got already a couple of centre back, very, very good, very strong. One of the best player in the league, just like the William Saliba one and Gabriel. So they decided to strengthen, and they did that very well with Calafiori joining Arsenal in the next couple of hours.
Craig, let's come to you. Now, of course, the main news today, pre-season tour to Japan and South Korea. The players got on the plane this afternoon. Now, the following players will make the trip to Japan and South Korea: Abbott, Austin, Bergvall, Basuma, Davis, Devine, Donnelly. Radu Dragushin will only make the South Korea trip, not Japan. Gray, Gunter, Hall, Johnson, Kulusevski, Lancashire, Maddison, Moore, Phillips, Poro, Richarlison, Royale, Sarr, Scarlett, Skip, Solomon, Son, Spence, Udogi, Vicario, Valise, Werner and Whiteman, and the club have also confirmed that Fraser Forster will remain at Hotspur Way as he will be continuing his rehabilitation from a fractured foot. Benton, Curler, Celso, Romero, Van der Ven will rejoin the squad closer to the start of the season after representing their countries in the latter stages of the Copa America and Euro 2024. And the club have also confirmed that Bryan Hill and Sergio Reguilon have been granted permission not to travel in order to explore prospective transfer opportunities. Craig, simply I'm going to ask, any surprises there for you on the plane? I know one that really stands out for me, Djed Spence. I don't think any of us thought that Djed Spence would be on that plane going to Japan and South Korea after the time that he's at Spurs. It looked very likely that Genoa were going to be signing him on a permanent deal, but the clubs could not agree a fee. Are you also surprised, perhaps, about Bryan Hill staying at home because he wants to move out the door?
No, sorry, I'm a bit distracted. I'm sitting where I normally sit in our room downstairs, and I've got the windows open because it's hot, and a cat's just jumped in. Not one of my cats, just a strange cat. And he's sitting there looking at me, sitting on the windowsill. So it's the weirdest thing. Anyway, Djed Spence, I must admit, I was really, really happy when I saw that he was in the squad to go on the tour.
Yeah.
As I said the other day, I thought he'd probably given Ange something to think about. He's still probably got a fair bit to prove to him before he trusts him fully. But the fact he's on the tour, I wouldn't have said that like we've discussed. I wouldn't have thought that 3-4 weeks ago. And with that deal to Genoa so close, it would seem at some point, I thought he was gone, which is a shame because I've always been a fan of Djed Spence. I always wanted to see what he could do and be the backup or push Porro, as I've said before. So I think, look, he's got 3 games out there to really prove his point to Ange, and hopefully he'll get a fair few minutes to be able to do that and continue that good form. I'm not surprised about Reguilon and Gil. I think it was quite clear that they're not in Ange's plans. I think they will. They'll hopefully find deals away from the club. What we'll get for them financially, I don't know. You can't imagine it will be a lot of money, but it's another 2 wages off the wage bill. Hopefully they'll get their move. So I was half surprised Royale went because he's obviously been linked away to AC Milan. Sure, Simone's tell us a bit more about that one. So I was surprised to see him, and obviously Richarlison as well. Having been injured, he's on the plane, so he must be nearing fitness. Obviously, the link.
Well, Ange actually said the other day, Craig, that Richarlison was going to miss the tour.
Yes, he did. You're right. Yeah. So that's unless he really pushed to say, look, I think I'll be fine. I want to go. The different look. Harry Kane went on the tour last year, of course, didn't he? So it doesn't mean anything with the players staying or going. It's just the fact that he's took a big squad over there, hasn't he? And there's a lot of players gone over there. So it will be interesting to see who gets minutes, who doesn't get minutes, and how people perform. Because of course, Tanguy Ndombele went on the tour and didn't play a minute, did he? So he got that minor injury. So, and that was that. That's going back to the original point, Djed Spence absolutely over the moon. He's there, and hopefully he can get a few minutes in his legs and prove to Ange that he should be part of his plans.
Also, Craig, are you a little bit surprised that Bryan Hill didn't go to put himself in the shop window? Because he must have clearly said, "I'm not interested in going. I want to leave." That must have happened.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Same as Reguilon. Both probably in the same boat, to be honest with you. He just wants out, doesn't he? It hasn't worked out for him. And just hopefully gets his move to wherever he wants to go, a Spanish team, perhaps Seville or Valencia or something like that, where he's been before. But he's really started his career at Tottenham. It just hasn't worked for him, as it hasn't worked for us either. So time to move on, I think.
James, let's come to you. Let's get your reaction on the squad that are currently travelling to Japan. And also, I know you've been travelling, but you must have seen some of the highlights or even some of the games that we've played so far against Hearts in our 5-1 win last Wednesday, and of course our 2-0 win on Saturday at Loftus Road against QPR. What have you made of it so far?
The main point that I've made is the kids and how well they're playing, and how well they're gelling, and how Angeball kind of works with that fitness of the youth, and I think that's why he's going a little bit more down that road. So watching that and watching like Mikey Moore and Lancashire and Donnelly and Bergvall and Archie Gray and these kids that are all under 20 years old that are really taking Angeball on board, I think that's the way forward with just how much energy you need and how much he wants to press. And a lot of pre-season, the good stuff has come from the kids here, and that's the thing I most like about if you're asking me about the squad and what I'm impressed with, and I'll touch on what Craig said as well. Djed Spence, I think he's made for Angeball. It's just whether he can get his attitude right. I wouldn't like to keep going on about that because I don't know the lad, but there seems to have been problems before, and Ange won't put up with that. But yeah, that's what I've been most impressed with is the kids really, like I say, the Moores, the Lancashires, the Donnellys, Archie Gray, Bergvall. I don't know if he's got a knock, how bad his knock was. I think you said before, Craig, it's not that bad. But yeah, I've loved watching the highlights of it. It's quite hard to get signal out here sometimes. It's a bit annoying, but I've caught up wherever I can. And in regard to Richarlison, I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I'd like to see him replaced, to be honest with you, with a proper number 9 who can bag some goals now. He had a little purple patch, didn't he, for a bit last season. I know he got an injury after that, but I don't think he's the type of player to have in our team to challenge for titles and for trophies. I don't think it is Richarlison. I think we need an out-and-out goal scorer, which is very hard to find in today's market, but I'm impressed with that squad that's going out there. With Bryan Hill, I thought at first he would fit Angeball, but he hasn't worked out for him. So I think it's time for him to move on. I want to see 2 or 3 new ones come in as well, especially at number 9.
James, are you surprised that we haven't? Obviously, we will discuss the transfer window, but at this stage, when the players are actually getting on the plane, are you surprised that we haven't signed more players?
Yeah, I am actually. I think, like he said, didn't he, in January, he said, I just want it done early. And I think he got his wish last time. I was expecting the same again. I bet it's made a little bit harder with Copa America and the Euros, maybe, of players having breaks and not being around so much. That might be a little bit of a delay. We can give them a little bit of grace. But I think I saw that it's looking like a few outgoings and maybe up to 3 incomings. There's the rumours you hear. Maybe you guys are hearing the same rumours. But a little surprised how long it's taking. And I would just take, over everything, I say it, just a striker. I want to see a number 9. It would be a huge game changer in what we play. I like watching Mikey Moore and Lancashire, and I'd love to see them get minutes, but we'd still need a big number 9.
The Football Insider in the last couple of days has stated that Ange Postecoglou at the moment is obsessed with signing a number 9. I know that is music to all of our ears, so hopefully that will happen at some point in the very, very near future. We'll discuss this shortly. Simone, let's come on to you. Let's get your thoughts on the travelling squad, especially Sergio Reguilón and Bryan Hill not making it on the plane. And how difficult is it for a manager like Ange Postecoglou to try and prepare his squad for the new season? And as James said there and alluded to, with the Copa America and Euro 2024, how difficult is it that a manager like Ange Postecoglou has to do without Bentancur, Lo Celso, Romero and Van der Ven?
Yeah, definitely. There are many cases about that. I just like you were saying, I expected as well many more activity should have done before this journey in Japan. Not just to the ones that are gonna coming in, but also to the ones that like, for example, Sergio Reguilón, Emerson Royal, Bryan Gil. These kind of players should have gone before this kind of situation. More or less, guys, Ange went to Japan with the same team of last season. I expect a new number 9. I'm not sure if Richarlison will join Saudi Pro League or no, but I expect a proper number 9 to come into next couple of weeks. But we have to say a certain thing, guys, that except from Chelsea, Man United, and Aston Villa, no one from the big teams are doing business right now, at the moment. We are seeing, Calafiori is there, almost done to join Arsenal, but look at Liverpool, look at other big teams, big clubs, Newcastle, the same Newcastle. They are not doing business. And this is strange in Premier League history. This is very, very strange. It's common in Serie A. It's common here in Italy, where there is not the same power of economical power that you've got in England. But in England, it's quite strange. So I think that every chairman, every director is looking to each other, and the first one that will make a move will start a process, and will happen something, of course, in the next couple of weeks.
Simone, obviously Emerson Royal is on the plane, sitting there with Richarlison this afternoon on the way to Japan. Are you surprised by this? Because can you also update us on the latest of his possible move to AC Milan? Because reports in England and various reports in Italy that I've been reading and putting out on this channel is that Emerson Royal wanted to move to AC Milan, but the clubs could not agree a fee. Spurs were supposedly asking too much money and Milan didn't want to pay. Milan then went to try and buy Matty Cash. They seem to have missed out on him. And now talks are continuing again between the two clubs. Is this correct information? What do you know? What is the very latest on this situation?
Yeah, the situation, guys, is that first of all, there is a difference between Emerson Royal and the likes of Sergio Reguilon or Bryan Gill. Emerson Royal can go if a good offer comes to the table of Daniel Levy. If a good offer comes, okay, we can move on. We can sell Emerson Royal. If not, Emerson Royal we stay at the club. It's not a secret that he wants to join AC Milan. It's not a secret that AC Milan want him. But the biggest difference is that right now, Furlani and Monchiada, that are the directors of AC Milan, have got right now other priorities in other positions. They are trying to reinforce the midfield. They want a new number 9 apart from Alvaro Morata. So they are doing business in different areas of the pitch. Then it will come the time also for a new right back. Don't underestimate the fact that the captain of AC Milan plays as a right back, that is Davide Calabria. They want a new solution, but they all decided to offer to Daniel Levy just 10 million euros. And of course, it's not enough. So right now, as you know, as you were saying, and rightly so, Daniel Levy decided to turn down the offer. Let's see what is going to happen in the couple of weeks. Everyone is still talking about Emerson Royal or Matty Cash from Aston Villa. I'm expecting new names. We are trying to find out which are the other alternatives that AC Milan are tracking at the moment.
Simone, a couple of moments ago, you mentioned Richarlison and you're doubting the move to the Saudi League. Al Ali apparently want to sign Richarlison in this window, as well as Gabriel Jesus from Arsenal. And apparently they want to pay Tottenham's £60 million asking price. If that was on the table and it was your choice, would you sell Richarlison for that money that we paid for him?
Yeah, if I'm ready to bring in Ivan Toney or someone like Ivan Toney, a proper number 9, yeah, I will sell Richarlison. Richarlison is a good player. Maybe it's not perfect for the way and the movements that Ange Postecoglou wants from his strikers. So we'll see what's going to happen. I think that for 60 million euros, Daniel Levy would accept the offer. It's not fair to say that Richarlison hasn't worked yet at Tottenham, because last season in December, in winter, he scored some brilliant and important goals. But of course, for £60 million, that is the money that Daniel Levy 2 years ago, two summers ago, decided to pay Everton Football Club. We could expect more. We can say, I think that it's fair to say that we could expect more from him.
Simone, one other player that I wanted to ask you about is Giovanni Lo Celso. Of course, he's on his summer break now after the success of the Copa America. Reports in Italy today are stating that Lazio have been offered the opportunity to sign Lo Celso, but the Italian club have turned the offer down. Do you think that Lo Celso will end up moving in this window?
I think definitely, because you saw when Maddison got injured last December, Postecoglou decided to give game time to Gio, and Gio did well. Gio was brilliant, but when Maddison wasn't brilliant anymore in April, at the end of the season, he never gave the chance to Gio to be back in the team and to show his full potential. I think that he can go for a good offer. He can go. He's always someone that in our countries, Italy, Spain, places like that, a profile of Gio Lo Celso has always got a certain type of reputation, a certain type of market, a certain type of valuation. So I expect him to join a Serie A club or a La Liga club.
Craig, let me ask you, of all those players currently on the plane on the way to Japan, do you expect any of them to be sold before the end of August deadline?
I would imagine a couple of them will be. I personally think Ben Davies is going to stay and see out his contract. So I don't think Ben Davies will be going anywhere. Emerson Royale, I think, will go, and possibly, I've just got a feeling Richarlison, there might be an offer and agreement there reached eventually. I mean, £60 million. If we could get our money back on him, that'd be a phenomenal bit of business, I think. Because it hasn't, I mean, Richarlison's not been that bad, but it's not, you can't say that he's, I've always said this, I still don't think he's the answer for us up front. He's hard working, he puts a shift in, but I just don't think he's the right person to take us forward. So if he's willing to go and they're willing to pay the money, then I think we just let him go with thanks. Those two are the ones for me. Like I say, I'm not even going to enter the Djed Spence conversation, because I think I'm hoping he will stay, but you just don't know. You just don't know how that relationship's going with Ange, because he didn't really, when he was asked about him after the Hearts game, he didn't fill me with a lot of confidence that he was going to be staying. He just basically said, you know, while he's at Spurs and I treat players the same. It wasn't like, oh yeah, Djed was brilliant and we want to keep him around. It could be a tactic, of course. It could just be a tactic of Ange's to make him want to work harder, but we'll see on that one. I must say we're honoured to have Donna Cullen in the chat tonight, and she's obviously put forward a lot of good points. So it's marvellous to know that a lot of people so high up at the club watch this channel. So thanks, Donna.
Craig, let me ask you about the squad number, because there's been a couple of changes today. Vicario will now wear the number 1 shirt for the 2024-2025 campaign, and that vacates the number 13 shirt, which has now been taken over by Destiny Udogie, who has switched from number 38. I know you've played a lot of football in your time. Do squad numbers mean anything to you? Is it something that's really important what number you wear?
Yeah, it was for me. Yeah. I had my number, and I was gutted if I couldn't have that number. And both the clubs I played for, I had to have number 9. Some players don't care what number it is. Other players, I wouldn't say I'm superstitious as such. It was just a number, and I think some players' numbers give you confidence. I remember Alan Shearer said his 2 conditions for joining Newcastle was, let me take the penalties and I want to wear the number 9, and that was it. He didn't care about anything else. So some players care, some players don't. I think it's important for Vicario to have that number 1 on his back. I think that's good. I don't know about Udogie. It's a weird one, because I think Reguilon's still our number 3, isn't he? I believe. So that's a weird one. Unless, I don't know, Simone will probably be able to tell us. I don't know what number he wore at, oh God, help me out. Where was he? Where did we sign him from? Can't remember.
Udinese. Did he wear 13 there, Simone?
You're on mute.
I didn't hear last sentence.
Did Destiny Udogie wear number 13 in Italy?
Yeah. He was. So he changed. I saw today that he changed the number behind the shooters. So he decided to move from 38 to number 13. He was the number that maybe he used when he used to play for Udinese.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. So she's lucky. Perhaps it's his lucky number then. So
yeah.
So it explains that. But yeah. That's, I really like to see a goalkeeper number 1 on his back. I think that's traditionalist like that.
James, let's come to you. How are you feeling right now as a Spurs fan? Because you said that, it's quite exciting seeing a lot of the young players. And we've also said, and I think a lot of the fan base are saying at the moment that we need to sign players. Is there that mix of excitement, but yet worry about, shoring up the squad and giving Ange Postecoglou that experience that we need going into a brand new season?
Oh, I think you've hit the nail on the head. That's exactly how I feel. It's a mixture. I am excited to see more Lancashire, Donnelly, and Gray and Bergvall. For me, has been probably the most exciting overall. But I want to see a bit more. I want to see a bit more signing. I want to see. We've got to take a step forward, a springboard from last season. We've got to be aware of what happened, such a great start and the tail off, and what injuries did. So we need a bigger squad. We've now got European football is added into the mix. And I think the way that Andrew said time and time again is they're not used to our training yet. They've got to get used to how we do it. So he does push and push and push, which basically means that squad has got to be big to put up with that and full of talent. And we've got more games than we got last season. We've definitely got at least 8 in the Europa League, and hopefully more in the League Cup than we had last year as well. So we do need signings on top of this, the youth coming forwards. And touching on Vicario, I'm glad he's got number 1 as well. I'm definitely glad for that. As long as he can be number 1 to the ball at corners, I'm up for that. But yeah, I'm a mixture, excited and concerned as the days go by. But what Simone touched upon, which I never even thought about, it's very interesting, is there's not much movement at the moment in today's market. So that maybe calms me down a little bit, but I'd like to see. Does it work like that sometimes? It's like an avalanche, really, when someone moves, like everyone kind of moves. And if that's the case, then maybe a little bit less apprehensive.
I think a lot of us expected a lot to happen once the Euros and the Copa America is now over, and it all does seem to be happening now. James, let's stay with you, because Tottenham Hotspur midfielder Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, after 4 years, it now looks like he is going to be leaving Tottenham Hotspur to sign to the French club Marseille. The Times newspaper has stated that it will be initially on loan with an obligation to make the transfer permanent in a deal worth 20 million euros, which is the equivalent of 16.8 million pounds. Tottenham have also inserted a sell-on clause into the deal, so Spurs will take a portion of Højbjerg's next transfer fee. For me, and my opinion, I think this is very, very clever business, because he has just gone into the final year of contract, and Spurs somehow have managed to get 20 million euros for him with a sell-on fee as well, sell-on clause, sorry. What do you make of this, and what do you make of Højbjerg's 4 years at Tottenham?
Business-wise, I'm the same as you. I think it's a great deal. He didn't want to stay. You could tell he didn't want to stay, but he's got the right attitude, isn't he? He played to put himself in the window to show how good he was. That's the difference with having someone like Højbjerg. And it was similar to someone like Perisic coming on. So we're 1-0 up, 2-0 up, whatever. We need to see the game out. These are the players that would add a massive thing coming on to us. And we haven't, with Højbjerg going, I am very excited about the midfield at the minute, but we got that player, that kind of experience, that level head. I thought it was great when he came on his substitute appearances, and the same when Perisic got injured at the start of last season. I hated to see that, because he started brilliantly in terms of that experience, that level-headed that you can't buy, that you just have through experience, and losing a bit of that with Gray and Bergvall being in the midfield. Obviously, it's great for the future, but I think we do need something in terms of experience coming on games, seeing games how to do even the darker arts of football a little bit with these players that know how to play the game with the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes to go to hold on to a lead. But is that Ange ball? He doesn't want to do that anyway, does he? But he doesn't like 1-0. He go for 2-0, 3-0, etc. So, but yeah, a mixture again with him. I actually thought it was a good business deal, but are we going to replace that experience, or are we just going to keep going for youth?
Well, we saw Ange Postecoglou in his first season quite a few times shouting and swearing at Pierre Højbjerg for passing the ball back, which is quite hilarious. But as you said, James, and Simone, let's come to you on this. Pierre Højbjerg was probably the most used sub for Spurs last year. And as James rightly said, he shored up the defensive part of our game in certain matches, and his experience, like Perisic, we're going to miss that experience on the pitch, aren't we?
It depends on the project. I think that he's a good player. He's a good player for other kind of footballs, for other kind of managers like Mourinho, Antonio Conte. They decided to give him so much game time in their experience at Tottenham. Ange clearly has got completely other ideas. He doesn't see him. The time for Højbjerg at Tottenham was over. We already knew that.
Simone, were you a fan of Pierre Højbjerg in a Spurs shirt? Because I don't know whether in Italy you've got Marmite, but he's like Marmite here. You either like him or you don't. And it's funny because whenever I put reports out about Højbjerg leaving, you've got half the fan base saying, I'm really going to miss him. He's a great player. And, the other half saying, we're best off without him.
I think that he's a good lad. I think that he's a fantastic professional, but I absolutely was not a fan of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. When Tottenham 5 years ago dropped their levels, it wasn't just on Mauricio Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte. I think that there were many underrated players. Wanyama, for me, for example, was a far better player than Højbjerg. Højbjerg is that kind of player. This is the potential. This is the experience. Okay, that can be a player for the team, a player for the squad, but he cannot be a starter week in and week out if you want to aim to do something great in Premier League. But of course, he's a good lad, fantastic professional. So just like we say in these cases, all the best for the future. Thank you, and all the best for the future.
Craig, let's get your thoughts on Højbjerg leaving. I completely agree with what Keith Ball writes here. Ultimate professional, Pierre Højbjerg. Good luck to him. He certainly did steady the ship, didn't he, on many occasions last year? And it has been weird, the mix of people liking him and people not. Yeah,
as I've said, totally agree with you as well on that one. I thought Højbjerg had some. I thought his best performances were from the bench last year. I think he was better coming on than when he started games. I don't think this Ange ball and this system suits him really. I thought he was better suited to a Conte system or a Mourinho system. That's probably why he shone in those formations. And I think he'll do very well, and wish him well in his future roles at other clubs. But I think we got 4 good years out of Højbjerg. I think it was time for him to move on. I wouldn't say I was in the hate Højbjerg camp at all. I thought he was a good leader. I thought he was a good influence around the changing room, from what I understand. He'll be a loss to the squad in that respect. Like you say, there's not many leaders in there that I see. So we could do with another leader in there, a more experienced professional. But look, he was. What more can you say? He was a great servant to Tottenham. I really enjoyed watching him in the middle of the park in those first couple of years, even though the football was turgid at times. I thought he was the standout performer in a lot of the games under the Conte and Mourinho thing, but he just didn't fit in our system. He kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. But having said that, he did do well in the games he came on.
Craig, can I ask you that? Because I know you've played football at a good level. How important is it to have those experienced players in the changing rooms? Because, I'm like James, I'm excited about all of the young talent coming through, but how important is it also that you've got those experienced players in the dressing room for lots of reasons?
It was. when I played, you always, as a young player, you always look towards the older heads, and you do learn from them. I know people say, "Oh, you could have a whole team of kids." Of course you can, but the best times I had and the best teams I was involved in, we had a nice mixture. Saying I was 22, we had a couple of lads that were, early 30s, and they were the leaders on the pitch. And then gradually over time, as you get older, the youngsters look to, and then suddenly you've become the older heads in the team. So it's kind of a natural progression. But I think it is important to have a couple, like you've got Sonny, you'd have to class Maddison as the experienced professional. Van der Ven's only young, of course, but Romero, with his experience, he's a leader, and he's got that experience because of his exploits with Argentina. So that's a good spine through the team there. But I think we do need somebody in that midfield, just as another option, another six. I think we could. He would argue, well, some people would argue you've got to stick Archie Gray in there. Between him, Pat Matassar, Bentancur, Skip, even, we've got 4 people for 2 positions. But I would love to see a holding midfielder, a monster number 6, and a centre forward come in. I think that's imperative. And I know we'll probably come on to the centre forward issue, but that holding number 6, if you like, he's key as well. I forgot Bissouma as well, of course, because he can play in those positions. So we are kind of overloaded at the moment. So you perhaps another one of those comes in and somebody has to go out. It's difficult, isn't it? Because you say Archie Gray can play right back. Does that mean he's curtains for Djed Spence and Djed Spence goes? So there's a lot of permutation. So I think Simone's right. There's not been a lot of movement at all. We haven't seen hardly anything going on. And you would hope over the next week or so that the wheels start to move. It's like solitaire, isn't it? You move one part and then you have to free up another part. So I think you'll see the dominoes start to fall in that respect. So let's hope we can get a few more names in. Like James, I was frustrated that we haven't had a couple of new boys in for the tour, but here's what it is. They're on their way. And at least it gives the boys a chance that he's brought up from the academy, which I'm just as pleased about. There's a lot of academy lads on that plane, so they've got points to prove. It'd be great to see them too.
Yeah, it's great to see that a lot of them have taken their opportunity, and hopefully they will do so in the next 3 games as well on the tour. King Hoddle writes here, and I was going to ask all of you, your moment, your favourable moment from Pierre-Emile Højbjerg's career at Tottenham, but I think this is it. That brilliant goal against Marseille in France in the Champions League, that last-minute winner. Fantastic. James, are you surprised by the destination where Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is actually going, Marseille? Of course, they've got a brand new manager who we know very well, Roberto De Zerbi, just signed, managing the Premier League with Brighton. Are you surprised? Do you think he's going to fit in very well at De Zerbi's Marseille?
Yeah, I think he will. I think he's a bit more of a De Zerbi player than maybe an Ange player. I was going to say the same about that. He goes to the club that he's knocked out. We end up knocking Marseille out, didn't we, with that goal as well? Because it was between us and them to go through, wasn't it? So, a little bit surprised, but I think he'll fit in well. And I think a lot of teams who play a certain way will look at Højbjerg and think it'd be an incredible addition, because I think Ange Ball, as we keep saying about, is a bit more unique. It's not the norm, is it? And Craig touched upon it, where he's more of a Mourinho and Conte kind of player, where managers like that, and the dedication and the fact that I was saying before about that he didn't sulk, he got on with it, he comes in, he sees out games, he's very professional, he puts himself in the window, does the most he can for the badge. These are all amazing traits for a player that a lot of managers and a lot of teams would look at as an incredible addition. So I don't know how many suitors were in for him at the end. There was a few different people going for him, weren't there? I mean, it wasn't just Marseille. So maybe he had a few more choices than that. So in that regard, then maybe a little bit surprising. But I'm not surprised that a lot of people come in for him. I think he's an acquired taste. You're right about the Marmite. He's an acquired taste, but people who love him will absolutely adore someone like Højbjerg. And it's that part that I'm kind of sad to see go. But I do think come the start of next season, if you saw Højbjerg not in there and he was replaced with somebody, that is moving forward for Tottenham. Obviously, it depends on who it's replaced with, but I mean, in terms of a slight upgrade in that position. But yeah, I'm quite glad that he's gone. As long as we replace him properly, is probably in one sentence what I would say with him.
James, of course, we face Japanese side Vissel Kobe on Saturday, followed by 2 games in South Korea against K-League All-Stars and then Bayern Munich. Now, Bayern Munich's new boss, Vincent Kompany, who we know very well from Burnley and Manchester City, of course, he has confirmed that Harry Kane will not be featuring in that game in South Korea for Bayern Munich. Oh, wow. Are you disappointed by that news? Because, of course, the week later, Bayern Munich will travel to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for another friendly. And I also wanted to ask you personally, how do you think it would go down if you sang a Harry Kane song when he's playing for Bayern Munich?
I wouldn't do it. No, I couldn't do it. No. I mean, as much as you as a Tottenham legend, I'm the badge over the player. So I wouldn't do a Harry Kane song. As much, I don't think that, for example, my job would be same as you won't have the Tottenham fans singing really his name, I don't think, but they'll applaud him and they'll appreciate him, and I don't think they'll be singing all day, all night about Harry Kane when you've got players like you've got to concentrate on your own. So it doesn't really enter my psyche in terms of players that are playing against us. Like I would sing more for someone like Dele Alli, somebody who's, for me, I know that song we had for him, but somebody who's for me still hasn't really gone against the grain, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I won't be singing for him against Tottenham. Like I say, I'm badge over player. But I've only just found out then, we just said it. You only just told me the news that he's not playing. I am disappointed in that. I think we all wanted to see, and I wonder if it was part of Levy's contract that Kane plays against him. But maybe that's more for August 10th. But I think, James, it's because England, of course, got to the final of Euro 2024. So all of these players are having that extra time off. But Vincent Kompany has confirmed that he will not play in that game in Seoul in South Korea. It's probably the 4 touches he had in the semi-final and the final. Sorry, I'm bad. That's bad. You know what I mean?
Harsh.
Very harsh. I'm joking.
We've got a comment here. Would you still call Harry Kane a legend? Absolutely, of course. Record goal scorer at the club. Yeah,
100%.
Simone, how are you going to feel when, obviously, we know now that Harry Kane's not going to be featuring in the game against Spurs in South Korea, but more than likely he will be starting in the game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium a week later in our final pre-season friendly before the Premier League season starts. How are you going to feel seeing Harry Kane in a Bayern Munich shirt? Because, of course, we see him on the TV, but it's very, very different seeing it in the flesh at our own stadium. How are you going to feel about it?
Wait, absolutely strange. A little bit emotional. I think that he deserved maybe it wasn't a proper foul. Maybe he will be back before the end of his career. We'll see what future will hold. Will be an incredible romantic story if he decides one day to be back. It will be absolutely strange to see him leading the attack of Bayern Munich away in the away end, under the south stand at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Will be something strange. Will be something. I'm curious, frankly, to see that. To see what's gonna. I think the reception will be absolutely brilliant. I think that he is gonna receive a standing ovation, and is one of the greats, one of the greatest ever. So we'll see.
So, Murray, you're used to me putting you on the spot and asking you for percentages. What do you think the percentage chance of Harry Kane coming back to Spurs one day?
50% before the end of his career. So this time I.
Sit on the fence.
Surprised you didn't say 10%. You love that.
10%, exactly. It's better than 10%. I'll take that. Just thought I'd let you know.
I was optimistic by saying 10%. You saw what where Calafiori decided to go a couple of days ago. So
Yeah, it's disappointing. They've got themselves a good signing there. Matthew Craig has just joined Barnsley on loan for the 2024-2025 season. That was an official announcement from Spurs just before we went on air. Simone, let's stay with you, because one player that we have spoken an awful lot about, especially in the last couple of months and pretty much all season, whenever Craig Dearman's on the show, which seems to be every week at the moment, Eze. Crystal Palace star Eze. Now, Tottenham Hotspur seem to be interested in him. We've seen his family in the box at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium a couple of times last season. We've heard reports, we've seen reports. Manchester United are interested, Liverpool are interested. Today in the UK media, particularly from the Daily Mirror, Manchester City are interested in Eze. We've also seen reports that Spurs have not followed up their interest in Eze. From what you know, of course, Italian journalist, what do you know about Eze? Do you think that this could happen? Do you think it will happen for Spurs?
it could happen. I'm not sure it's gonna happen, because and rightly so, as you were saying, there are many top clubs behind Eze. He can play in every position. He can play as a center midfielder, holding midfielder, a proper number 10. He can play on the wingers. So he's absolutely top. But I'm not sure he's gonna be the priority for Tottenham, because they are tracking right now a proper number 9. So I don't think Daniel Levy will manage to do both Eze and a proper number 9. I don't think, without the Champions League money, I don't think so. But of course, he's someone that we have to look at. We need to look at until he decides his future. Of course, Man City is there, Liverpool are there, many big clubs are there trying to persuade him to join them.
Simone, if people had to put money on where Eze is going to go, what would you say?
A percentage. Sorry, money.
Where do you think Eze will end up next season?
He's gonna stay in the Prem, definitely. I think that it's gonna be Man City, but we'll see. For me, Man City, Manchester City. But
Craig, Simone is telling us again that we're going to miss out on a top player. I expect you're sick of this question from me. Talk to me about Eze, and do you think that Spurs are going to get him over the line?
I'm not as well. I've never been convinced, to be honest with you. It's more in hope than anything else. But the fact that De Bruyne has had the links away to Saudi and then City are floating around for Eze, he's kind of a pretty good replacement for De Bruyne. I mean, I don't think you can replace De Bruyne with anybody, really. I think he's a sensational footballer, one of the best playmakers I've ever seen in my lifetime. But Eze is a pretty good replacement for him. So it just all depends. I mean, we don't know if Spurs are still interested in Eze, or like they're going to spend the money on a number 9. I can't see us getting both. Like somebody said in the comments, I can't see us spending big on a number 9 and Eze. So, I mean, that would go against almost every transfer window we know that Tottenham Hotspur have been through since time began, almost, isn't it? So that would be a weird one if that did happen. Not saying, crikey, if they want to give us a centre forward and Eze, fantastic, But
Craig, we need a statement window. We definitely need a statement window here.
We do. We all know that. And we want that statement signing. We want that statement number 9. We want the Ezes. I just wonder whether they're going to see how the youngsters perform in this pre-season, because I still think he's ridiculously young, but he's obviously extremely talented in Mikey Moore. I mean, I'm not saying Mikey Moore's the answer at the moment. I think he will be in a few years' time. I think he's going to be an absolutely sensational footballer. Not that he isn't now. I just think he's awesome. But I just hope that I think that puts immense pressure on these academy lads if they're going to use them. We want them to use them, but we don't want them to be the instant answer, unless it's rare it happens. It's something like a Dele Alli, that they buy and he just hits the ground running and carries on and goes up and up and up the trajectory. It's like unbelievable. I'd love it if that happened. I'm sure the club would, because their club trained, they haven't got to pay for them. But you're right. I think we do need these statement signings. So it's going to be interesting to see where this Eze thing goes. I did hear before that he wasn't particularly interested in leaving London. But then again, if Man City come calling and De Bruyne goes, and I think it's important if De Bruyne goes. I don't think he'll go there if De Bruyne doesn't go. But if De Bruyne goes, then he's got a choice to make, hasn't he? And Man City Man City generally don't spend. Because the size of their squad, they usually get a couple of players every window because they can do that. We're not at that point yet. We still need 4 or 5 or 6 players, and then once we get the squad to where we want to get to, that's when you pick and choose your specific positions, and that's how they've done it. It's a very clever way of doing business, but we're not quite there yet. We need decent numbers coming in a transfer window.
Craig, let me ask you, how this time last year, how did you feel as a Spurs fan? And how do you feel as a Spurs fan a year later today? Are you feeling a lot happier?
I do, because I think what Ange showed us last year and how the team played, I enjoy watching us play again, because I didn't under Conte. I didn't enjoy it much at all. There were a couple of games, but it was a bit of a bore watching us, to be honest with you. I look forward to games now. And now we've got to know how Ange wants to play football. Obviously, this stage last year, Harry Kane was still with us, and he was on the plane going to the tour. But we all know what happened after that. So just coming back to that, it's going to be weird seeing him, assuming he does play at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's going to be strange seeing him, and I'm sure him and Sonny will have a bit of a cuddle when they before the game kicks off. And I personally think there will be a few Harry Kane, he's one of our own songs. I'm not saying he's going to be all game, because that would be ridiculous, but there will be a few of those chants. I'm sure there will be. So it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to that. But overall, coming back to your question, I'm in a much better place with Tottenham now than I was a year ago, because we weren't really sure what to expect. We only had a few people telling us, like Ali Ross, when he came on to tell us what to expect from Ange. It was exciting, but we wanted to see it. And of course, that has grown and got better throughout the season. Yeah, we've had down spots, but overall, you can see the progression, you can see the plan. And I think that's the main thing for me, is seeing the plan and seeing where he wants to get to. So yeah. That's good for me, because we were lost for a couple of seasons, weren't we? So it's really good to have a project in place and a clear vision of where he wants to get to and how we want to play.
That was going to be my next question. James, let's come to you on this, because has your expectation now changed as a Spurs fan when it comes to transfer windows? Because I've got to admit, mine certainly has, because when you look at Ange's first transfer window, getting the likes of Maddison, Vicario, Van der Ven, etc. in, and then, of course, January, not a lot of Premier League clubs did business in January. We got one of the best centre-backs of the Euros. That is factual. That is not opinion. In Dragushin, and of course we signed Timo Werner on loan, which divided opinion. It's even divided opinion on him signing on loan for another season. But in terms of the transfer window now, are you expecting big things?
Yeah, I think the last 2 windows kind of gave us a bit more excitement of the things that he will be backed, and there will be more signings coming through. So yeah, I'm expecting it. And I don't know who said this or who reiterated what Ange said, is he's obsessed with getting a number 9. I don't know where that rumour comes from, but that sounds brilliant to me. That's the one thing I want to hear. So going back to what you were saying about Eze, I mean, I'd love him to play for Spurs. He's one of the main best players from last season I saw. It'd be exciting. There's a huge downpour, by the way, so if it's really loud, let me know. Yeah, I'd love.
It's lovely and sunny here.
Can you hear it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'll say it's lovely and sunny here.
Yeah, I don't know where I go travelling. So yeah, I mean, as much as I would love Eze, I mean, if it were the number 1 really, but position-wise, I'd still take a 9 over Eze, as long as the 9 was brilliant. I think we just need a 9 more than anything. And obviously, Eze not being a 9, I'd still take that first, but obviously they've got to be brilliant. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Eze in a shirt. I'd love to see a number 9. I'd be happy with just those 2. Imagine if those 2 signed, and say it's tomorrow, the day after we wake up, we'd be thinking we've got a chance here. I think every Spurs fan would be excited. We've got Eze and a striker and a real good number 9.
Chance for what?
Sorry?
A chance for what?
Can't say the word, mate. Can't get the word out. But not having that striker just doesn't make sense to me to Ange Ball. The whole way we play and not having a really good number 9 just doesn't make sense. See, I guess some of the statistics from last season, the amount of chances we were creating, Craig touched upon it, how exciting we are to watch. And it's because of how much we were on that front foot, and not having anyone at that top to put those away. It just doesn't make sense. So I do think that there's a lot of truth in Ange being obsessed with a number 9. That's just the one thing that I'm obsessed with. Every time the question, I come back to that, I think. But yeah, I'm obsessed with getting a striker. Everything else would come secondary to me, including Eze, who I ideally want to see in a Tottenham shirt. The way he plays is just so exciting. I'd love to see it. But including even someone like him, I want a striker. I need a striker to put away his opportunities.
Well, Andrew's obsessed with signing a striker. Craig's obsessed with Eze, and I think we're obsessed with talking about transfers on this show every week. James, let's stay with you because you talk about you want to sign a number 9. Now, the 2 players that we've been heavily linked with in the last couple of days, Ivan Toney. He's had 4 seasons at Brentford, 1 in the Championship, 3 in the Premier League. He's scored 67 league goals in 128 appearances for Brentford. 13 appearances in the Cup, 5 goals. He's got 6 England caps, 1 goal. And the other player that we're being heavily linked with, and that is Bournemouth's Dominic Solanke, who, of course, has played for Liverpool, also in the Premier League. 26 years old, 19 goals in 38 appearances in the Premier League last season, also providing 3 assists. Now, the 2 players that I've mentioned there, Solanke and Toney, would you like one of them or someone else?
Ivan Toney, personally, I've got a song about him, so I'll have to change that. That'd be a bit of a shame. I've got a song that says even Ivan Toney will be having a bet and sort of take the mickey out of him a little bit. So, but no, I would like Toney, if I'm honest. I'd have liked, who's the Newcastle guy? Is it Isak? I'd have liked him. I guess that's gone cold. I'm really impressed with him. And he's Premier League proven as well, which would be awesome. And I quite like that Jimenez said that I like those 2, them 2 profiles to me, the amount of chances we create. But Ivan Toney was so impressive when he came on during the Euros, and I can see how he would help the system. I guess he's not the extreme fastest of players, but he's got enough about him. I'd probably have, out of just those 2, I'd have Toney just above Solanke, but I'd rather, I don't know if there's any chance of getting, but Isak and that Jimenez. Let's come to you. Leeds gone completely cold now.
It's going to be interesting, James. I'll tell you, it's with Ivan Toney. Thomas Frank come out and said that Brentford would like to keep him, but if someone wants to buy him, he's going to be expensive. Now, I think everyone knows the price. They wanted around £70 million, but they would probably let him go for £40 to £50 million. It's going to be an interesting one whether Spurs go after Ivan Toney or go down the route of someone like Dominic Solanke. But
they're gold
I'm not so sure.
Strikers are gold dust, aren't they, in today's market? It's like the Premier League proven even more. Then you've got like the certain squad numbers, certain squad things you have to abide by. He ticks so many boxes that I can see him. Brentford ain't silly, and us just nicking Archie Gray probably didn't help with the relationship.
I've just seen that Sky Sports have also reported that, or they've stated that Manchester City are tracking Eze at the moment. Simone, let's come to you. Solanke or Ivan Toney, one of them for you or someone else?
Ivan Toney, definitely Ivan Toney. Of course, there are many players around Europe that Tottenham were tracking, just like Santi Jimenez from Feyenoord. But I think that Ivan Toney could be the perfect replacement for Harry Kane. Of course, you cannot find another Harry Kane, but Ivan Toney is someone that is Premier League proven player. He knows the Premier League. He knows how to score goal. He ticks all the boxes because 28 years old, he's still young. He can score a lot of goals. His link-up play is brilliant. He can assist many midfielders, many wingers. Brentford already have got on their side their replacement, and we are talking about someone that his contract is going to be expiring at the end of next June, the end of next season. So Daniel Levy, I'm sure that is going to be wondering if it's which is the right time to try to arrange a deal with Brentford.
So, Andy, can I ask you a very similar question that I asked Craig earlier? How important is it to a squad? I can certainly see what Ange Postecoglou is trying to do, build a very young, exciting squad. But how important is it that you get that very, very fine balance and mix of experienced players, been there, done it, got the T-shirt, know the Premier League?
Yeah, it all depends on the target that you wanna aim. If you wanna be a Champions League, a top 4 team, it's a case. If you want to win things, if you want to handle that kind of pressure of that kind of situations, just like a Carabao Cup final, or FA Cup final, Europa League final, if you want to win trophies, experience, you will always be key. Definitely, 100%. If you wanna be a team that wanna change for challenge for top 4. Okay, you can have many youngsters on the bench, but if you want to win something right now, experience is key. Experience is key in football.
Finally, with you, Craig, Ivan Toney, Dominic Solanke, or someone else? Are you eyeing up anyone else?
Out the two, I would prefer Ivan Toney. I've never been a massive fan of Toney, to be honest with you, but of those two, I would take him. I did change my opinion on him a little bit watching the Euros. I think he can offer a lot more than I thought he could, even in restricted minutes and everything. But I just hope he's got a decent attitude, because you do hear stuff about players, and it's not all true. People saying he's got a bad attitude, this, that, and the other. But Ange would know that. Ange would see that. So, and he's not going to stamp a signing unless he's 100% sure that's the sort of player he wants and he's got the right attitude. So, I trust him to get that right. The Santiago Jimenez, I thought would be a good addition, or the lad whose name escapes me from Man City, striker, the Argentinian. I can't remember his name. Really sorry, but I thought he would be good for us. But yeah, as you said, as James said, the proper number 9s are not really. They're not 10 a penny, are they? There's not many out there. It's not the way modern football's play. I don't know. It's weird. We used to have so many centre forwards, and yet you're struggling to find 5 or 6 real top centre forwards at the moment. So it's a really odd place to be, isn't it? So I just hope they get one. Really, Alvarez, thank you. I just hope they get one in for Ange. I really do, because he does seem obsessed with this number 9. So give him a number 9. Give the man number 9. Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know how it will go down with Ivan Toney wearing the training gear with BetMGM on it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's not a good look, is it? But,
Jimmy, the Spurs fan singing "You should have cashed out" as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, whilst we've been on air, Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Girona have now opened talks with Tottenham for Bryan Hill. He is set to leave Spurs this summer. Bryan Hill and Sergio Reguilon will both leave this summer. Well, I think that concludes the podcast. So, Craig, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Where can people find you? What you're up to at the moment?
Yeah, no worries, Chris. Always a pleasure. At DM9 on X if people want to give me a follow. So yeah, not too much. Just keeping an eye on X and the transfer window as a whole. Praying that we get some players in and players out. So yeah, it's all good. Yep. I'm waiting for the sun to come out as well. Waiting for summer to reappear in this country. So that'd be nice.
Actually, I do have a last question. I'm going to give it to James. James, what do you think of the away kit? Because, of course, we wore this at the weekend against QPR. I found it very, very difficult to work the numbers out. If you're looking at players from a distance, the numbers didn't work too well. But what do you think of the shirt overall?
I think it's one of them kits where the players make it look quite cool and kind of hard for anyone else to. I think it looks good, a bit Argentinian. Maybe that'll bring us a trophy. I actually like the yellow. I don't mind the yellow. A little nod to our old away kits. I like that. But there's some plus points. But I like the home kit, but the away kit, okay, probably about 7 or 8 out of 10. Yeah, the new home kit's cool. But yeah, the away kit, I'm not so sure.
James, where are you travelling to next, and where can people find you?
People can find me in the cloud forest of Costa Rica right now with massive downpours going on. I'm going on to Panama next. Then I'm going to meet a mate in Cuba, and then I'm back for next season. And people can find me social media, The Voice of Spurs. I've been doing some writing, got some new songs, getting ready for next season. Got 2 or 3 new big ones coming through. Don't think Robbie Williams will sing them, but I will, which is just as good. Definitely not. But yeah, I'm just getting some new stuff ready for next season. Got some stuff written, ready to play for next year. I'm dead excited.
Well, thank you so much, James, for coming on, particularly when you're travelling. So thank you so much for your time this evening. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to see you, lads.
Wish you well. Simone, thank you so much for coming back. I've got a last question for you. If I was to ask you, how many players do you think Spurs will sign from now until the end of the window, and how many players will go out of the door from now until the end of the window? What's your 2 answers?
4 or 5 to come in. 4 or 5. 4 or 5. And we'll see how many we get the door. I expect Emerson Royal, of course, Bryan Gill, of course, Sergio Reguilon, the likes, these kind of players, Gio, Celso as well, to be out.
Well, Simone, thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media, and what you're up to at the moment?
As always, guys, on Instagram, Simone dell'Uomo21. It's me. So easy as that.
Well, Simone, thank you so much. Craig, thank you. James, have a great break, and we will see you all again soon. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we will be back very soon with some more Spurs updates and talking all things Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.